So what in the world does a scandalous playwright from the 1600s have to do with, one of the most famous feminist thinkers of the 20th century? Well, as it turns out, pretty much everything. Let's dive into this really surprising link between money and a woman's right to speak her mind.
Okay, we're going to start with this absolutely incredible tribute from 1929. The person who wrote this, Virginia Woolf. Yeah, that Virginia Woolf, a total giant of modern literature. And get this, she's saying that all women, every single one, owe a massive debt to this person named Aphra Behn for the right to even speak their minds. I mean, that is a huge claim, right?
So, that brings us to the central mystery here. Who was this Aphra Behn, and why on earth did Virginia Woolf think she was the one who, unlocked the female voice for everyone else? Well, to figure that out, we've got to do what they always say. Follow the money.
All right, to get our answer, we're going to have to jump in the time machine. We're going way back. And our first clue, it's actually hidden inside Aphra Behn's most famous, and most controversial play, a little something called The Rover.
So, picture this. Welcome to the 17th century. And it's a world that's basically a marketplace for marriage. A woman's value was, and I mean this literally, calculated based on two things. One, her dowry, that's the cash and property she brings to the marriage. And two, her chastity. That's it. She was basically an asset, a piece of property being transferred from her father to her future husband.
Okay, so into this world walks this incredible character, Angellica Bianca. She's a famous courtesan, and the thing that makes her so utterly shocking to society is that she takes this unspoken, hidden economic reality and just slaps it right out there in the open for everyone to see. I mean, she literally hangs a portrait of herself with a price tag on it. Can you imagine? Her whole philosophy, her whole worldview can be boiled down to this one killer line. Money speaks sense in a language all nations understand. Wow. With that one sentence, she just slices through all the fancy, poetic talk about love and honor and says, nope, the real universal language, it's cash.
And this is where her argument gets really uncomfortable for people. Angellica's whole point is that, if you really look at it, marriage and prostitution are just two sides of the same economic coin. I mean, just look at the comparison here. In both, a woman is providing a service, right? The main differences are just the terms of the contract. One's for life, the other's temporary. One is legal, the other's not. One is technically unpaid service within the home, the other's paid directly. She's basically holding up a mirror to society's biggest hypocrisy.
Okay, so that's the clue we find in the play, in fiction. But the real game changer, the big breakthrough, comes from the actual life of the woman who wrote those words. So let's talk about Aphra Behn herself.
Now, to really get how revolutionary Aphra Behn was, you have to understand the legal prison that women were living in. It was a doctrine called coverture. And what it meant was that the second a woman got married, her entire legal and economic identity just vanished. Poof! Her property, any money she might earn, it all got absorbed by her husband. Legally, she basically stopped existing as an independent human being.
And that's the crucial point here. This wasn't just, a social custom or the way things were. This was the law. A woman's existence was literally owned first by her father, and then it was transferred to her husband. That was the cage.
But in a world designed to give women zero economic power, Aphra Behn found a way out, a loophole. She found the key to unlock her own cage. And that key, it was her mind. It was her pen. And what she did with that key was absolutely groundbreaking. She became England's first ever professional female writer. Now, this is important. She wasn't some wealthy aristocrat just writing for fun as a hobby. No, she made her living selling her words, her plays, her stories. She basically turned authorship into a job, into labor. And in doing so, she proved something that seemed impossible, that a woman could actually survive, could be independent using nothing but her own brain.
All right, so we've got the pieces of the puzzle, right? We have the clue from the play, and we have the real-life breakthrough from Behn. Now let's zoom forward a couple hundred years and finally solve the mystery. Why was Virginia Woolf so obsessed with her?
It's because that radical, revolutionary idea, the idea that a woman could actually live off her own intellect, well, that's the very same idea that Virginia Woolf would eventually give its most famous name.
And Woolf didn't just talk about this in abstract terms. She was super specific. She actually did the math. She calculated that for a woman to have real freedom, the freedom to think, to create, to write, she needed a steady, independent income, about £500 a year in her time. This wasn't just a nice thought. It was a cold, hard material necessity.
So here's her famous argument from a room of one's own, broken down. It's a really simple but powerful chain of events. Step 1, earn your own independent income.
Step 2, use that money to get your own private space, a room of one's own. And only then, once you have that financial security and that physical privacy, only then is your mind truly free to do its thing, to create.
And here it is. This is the big reveal, the connection. Virginia Woolf looked all the way back through history, and she saw Aphra Behn as the prototype, the original, the very first woman who actually proved Woolf's theory, centuries before she even wrote it down. Behn was the one who demonstrated that earning money with your brain was the first step, the absolute starting point for the liberty of all women.
So let's just take a second and trace this incredible legacy. It's like this golden thread connecting a scandalous stage play in the 1600s all the way to a groundbreaking essay in the 20th century. Let's see how it all ties together.
Okay, so it all starts with the sharp, brutal honesty of Angellica Bianca, right? Behn's fictional character who just knew that in a man's world, money speaks sense.
And then that idea jumps from the page into reality with Aphra Behn herself. She takes that exact principle and applies it to her own mind, proving to the world that a woman's intellect could be a source of income, that writing wasn't a hobby, it was work, real paid labor.
Flash forward 2.5 centuries, and you see that same idea get polished, refined, and made immortal by Virginia Woolf. It's almost a direct echo when she says, intellectual freedom depends upon material things.
So you see the line, right? From a courtesan's price tag to a playwright's paycheck to a novelist's calculated income, the message at its core is exactly the same. Financial agency isn't just about money. It's the foundation of having a voice at all.
And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question, one that echoes all the way from Aphra Behn's time right into our own. If intellectual freedom really does depend on material things, if having a voice requires financial independence, well, then who gets to speak today?